Right, just so that I can introduce myself, for those of you maybe who are not familiar, my name is Privilege, and I am the tutor under Grad Institute of Grad Consulting and Tutorials. So I'm the one that will be responsible for taking you guys through the AUI 4863 as a module throughout the entire year, supposedly that you decide to enroll for classes with us. I'll be able to assist you in as far as this module is concerned. But I think before we can get into detail of things, I just want to quickly explain who GradQuest really is, just so that you're familiar. Now, we are a private tutorial institution, and our arena of specialty ranges from undergraduate degree programs all the way to master's degree programs. So in other words, we facilitate or we assist students that are studying within that level or within that criteria. So if you're doing undergraduate or you're doing honors degree level or your master's degree level, we are there to actually assist you guys. Now, in which fields particularly do we give our focus on? So we've got tutors specifically focused on the EMS faculty related modules. So in this case, it will be modules like this one that you guys are doing, the audit, the internal auditing, 4863. It also includes 4862 and 4861. So we already did the orientational session for 4861 and 4862 this past Saturday. Now, we also specialize with modules that are related to do with the BSc and the IT faculty. So they are specific tutors that particularly deal with that area. And then obviously we also have tutors primarily focused with the law modules. So that is the structure that we have in as far as university related programs are concerned. Then we also go to a level where we offer professional qualification tutorials. So for example, if you're one that would want to embark in a journey of doing maybe, for example, your CIA with the Institute of Internal Auditors, which is the IIA, we are also here to help you get yourself equipped in as far as the board or professional exams are concerned. We also assist with students who are maybe channeling their direction with to study towards the ACCA qualification. We also give facilitation or tutorial classes in that arena, as well as CIMA. So those are the professional qualifications that we can actually offer you assistance or facilitation in terms of getting yourself equipped with the examinations and with any other continued assessments that they would actually give you. So that is the areas of specialty that we offer as GradQuest tutorials. Now, very important to note that we believe in what we call a corporate engagement with the students. So in other words, the student have to play their part. And we as your tutors, we also play our part. So our collaborative effort would in turn help you guys to be able to achieve your academic objective at the end of the year. Remember that, guys, this module, AUI 4863, this is a year module. So, and you also need to understand that since it's a year module, it might look like you've got plenty of time on the table because we're just really at the beginning of the year, but you don't have so much time, and you discover with the volume of work that we're going to be covering throughout the entire semester, right? But then, then I'm going to explain as well what our service offering, what the package really entail. I'm going to give you more details in regards to that as well. So that is much really to do with who we are. And without further ado, I want to quickly take you guys through the agenda outline. So what is the purpose of this session? What are those things that we're going to be looking into from this document, and of course outside of this document? So to do that, I'm gonna have to stop my video so that I can explain everything properly without a video distraction. Now, the agenda outline looks as follows. I'm going to take you guys through the module outline. I'm going to give you guys also just a bit of an open view in regards to your assignments and how they are structured. And then, of course, I'll also explain our tutorial service package and our fees structure from us as GradQuest. Now, looking into the module outlined, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to observe that in this module, there are 7 essential topics that you are expected to master for the purposes of your examination. Now, very, very important, ladies and gentlemen, majority of these, apart from, of course, from topic 1, majority of the topics that you're observing here in the screen, they are very comprehensive topics, okay? And they really are vital for you to note, or rather for you to be fully acquainted with them in order for you to be able to successfully pass your exam, and in turn, of course, successfully complete the module at the end of the year. So in topic 1, you're going to be looking at planning and conducting of audit engagements. Now, this is something that at undergraduate level, you were introduced to, for example, the activities that you would perform as an internal auditor when you're conducting the planning phase of the audit process. Remember the internal audit process. It always starts with the pre-engagement activities, followed by the planning, followed by performance of the actual audit engagement itself, and then obviously it is followed by reporting, okay? Reporting and monitoring. That is the last stage in your internal audit process. So in topic number 1, this is pretty much more of a recap of things that you have already been introduced to at your undergraduate degree level. All right. So there's not really anything that is very new from topic number 1. It's pretty much things that you've already been given a bit of insight, rather, when you're doing your undergraduate degree level. Now, moving forward, topic number 2, you'll be introduced to financial systems auditing. Now, when you are saying financial systems auditing, what it simply means is the audit of the financial softwares that are used by different auditing clients that you're going to be dealing with in real practice, or rather when you get into practice, these are things that you actually be expected to do, auditing the financial systems. So very important, this is where the concept CADS becomes handy, all right? So it's very important then also to have a good and a clear understanding concerning the following: general controls and application controls. Okay, it's very, very important. Now I'm gonna touch this topic together with topic number 6 because they actually go hand in hand. Now, why I'm mentioning the following things that are, or the following items that I'm writing down now on the screen, is because financial systems, it's something that is computerized, okay? It's something that is normally computerized. So for example, if I go into a financial department of any organization, one of the things that you're going to discover would be that they have a specific software system that they use to capture financial information that would have transpired within the organization. And just to also emphasize something, especially still under topic number 2, would be the fact that in this particular topic, you really need to have a good understanding of financial audit. And very important, when I'm talking of financial audit, this is where you would see things like the following items I'm about to note down for you: substantive audit procedures. Substantive audit procedures. You'll be expected to draft these, especially after studying that topic. And secondly, oh, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. And secondly, you will be expected to have a good understanding of what I would call assertions. It's very important to have a good understanding of assertions. And with assertions, ladies and gentlemen, especially when we get to that topic, I'm going to mention about the 2 groups of assertions that you are going to be expected to deal or to understand. Number 1, we've got assertions that specifically deals with transactions and records. Transactions and records. That's the first group of accessions that you have. And then the other group of accessions there is, which is also very important, especially when you're dealing with financial audits, is account balances. So these are sessions dealing with account, let me just say account balances, okay? Account balances. Now, just so that I can also give you a bit of an appetizer, there's something briefly that I'm going to show you with regards to our sessions, just on a whiteboard before I can proceed further. And I want you to observe the following. When you're dealing with substantive audit procedures, okay, you need to understand, or rather you have to really have a good understanding of your accounting process. So the accounting process runs as follows, ladies and gentlemen. It always starts with the source documents. From the source documents, you need to capture the transactions in what is known as the subsidiary journals. From the subsidiary journals, you take the totals from the journals into your general ledger. From the general ledger, you summarize the accounts, the closing balances in the GL, the general ledger, into the trial balance. From the trial balance, this is now where we extract those balances and we formulate what is known as the financial statement. So now I want you to observe something there, guys, that this is your accounting process, starting from source documents. So source documents could refer to things like this. Things such as receipts, invoices, the GRNs, that is the goods received notes, things such as delivery notes, okay, tax invoices. I'm just giving this as examples, okay? These are common things that you would find, obviously, if you go into the financial department, okay? And you're performing a financial audit. Remember, a financial audit is directed to the financial department. So I would expect to see documents such as these. Now, this is not a full list. I'm giving this for explanatory purposes. Then we've got journals. With the subsidiary journals, we're looking at things such as the cash book, okay? This way you've got things like cash receipts journal, cash payments journal, got the sales journal, purchases journal, general journal, etc., etc. Remember, I'm not giving you a full comprehensive list. I'm just doing this to make you guys understand. Then, of course, with the ledger, so you'd have different ledger accounts. For example, the bank account, the sales account, purchases account, inventory account, you name it, anything that you'd expect to see in the GL, which in turn will be a reflection when you go into different financial statements. With the financial statements, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, these are things you're already familiar with. For example, there's what is known as the SPLOCI, statement of comprehensive, the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, which was commonly known as the income statement. Then you've got your statement of financial position, which was commonly known as the balance sheet. Then you've got the statement of changes in equity, and lastly, you've got your statement of cash flow or the cash flow statement. All these would make up your financial statements according to the conceptual framework. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's very important to have this understanding for you to be able to execute substantive audit procedures effectively. Remember, I've mentioned this, that guys, when you are drafting substantive procedures, you also need to have a good understanding of accessions. Now, accessions, where there are two groups, like as I've mentioned, that there are groups that specifically deals with transactions. And those accessions, you'll find them from this to this. So here I'm going to say transactions and records accessions. You are going to be finding them somewhere here. Or rather, you'll be testing these accessions between these two places, from the source documents all the way to the subsidiary journals. That's where you'll be able to test the accessions for transactions and records. Then the ones for account balances, where do we begin to see account balances? We begin to see account balances from the general ledger all the way to the financial statement. So this is where we see account balances. So even when I'm now dealing with account balances, when I'm testing their sessions on account balances, for example, they can give you an exam setup that, okay, perform substantive procedures with regards to the inventory account balance in the general ledger, right? So what should come into your mind, or the moment they mention a specific account, a ledger account, in your mind, you must think about, okay, I need to test the assertions pertaining to account balances. And I'm going to talk about the assertions for account balances as well as the assertions for transactions and records later on. But what I just want you to picture here for now is that when you're dealing with substantive audit procedures, they are really directed on two things. Either you're testing assertions for transactions and records, or you're testing assertions for account balances. Now, when I'm talking of assertions, you might be wondering, what are these things really? So assertions, it's a certain quality attribute, a certain quality attribute. So if I'm looking at transactions and records, there's a certain quality attribute that I would expect to see in as far as a specific transaction is concerned, based on how it has been recorded from when the transaction started. So for example, let's say I'm looking into the subsidiary journals and I'm seeing there's a purchases transaction that has been captured from the beginning of the month of February, and it says 100,000 rands. So if I want to test, okay, is this amount accurate enough? So accuracy is one of the assertions that is to test a specific transaction or record that has been captured. So how will I test for accuracy of the purchases transaction that has been recorded in the purchases journal? One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to have to vouch. I'm going to have to vouch. So when I'm vouching, ladies and gentlemen, to help you understand the difference between the between vouching and tracing, and you're gonna see a lot of those, especially when you're dealing with procedures. Now, vouching works this way. When you're vouching, you're doing what is known as a backward testing. It's a backward testing. Okay, that's vouching. So what I can do as a procedure to test accuracy of the purchases transaction in the purchases journal, I can vouch the purchases transaction in the purchases journal to the supporting document. And the supporting document relevant to a purchases transaction, obviously, to be the purchase invoice or the purchase order. All right. And why am I vouching? So that I can test for accuracy of amount, or to test for validity of the purchases transaction as recorded in the purchases journal. So that way I've given you guys a comprehensive substantive procedure using this action verb called vouching. Now, apart from vouching, you might find yourself also having to use the following word called tracing or trace. Okay. Now, tracing is basically a forward testing, ladies and gentlemen. It's a forward testing. Now, a forward testing, now, if I'm looking at the accounting process, I'm saying I'm working, if I'm testing, of course, transactions and records, it simply means I'm starting from here, and whatever that I'm tracing it all the way to the journals. So I could trace, for example, a receipt of a payment to the cash payment journal, right? Why am I doing that? I'm testing for completeness because I need to confirm whether that particular record has been captured in the company's record. So I'll be tracing from the supporting document to the records in the journals. So when I do that, what I'm doing is, when I'm doing a forward testing, I'm basically checking for completeness. So that is the assertion that you'll be testing. Remember, forward testing, you're testing for completeness. Backward testing, you're testing either for accuracy or you're testing for validity. Please take note of what I'm telling you now. So in essence, this was a bit of a comprehensive summary just to help you, especially in understanding financial systems better. Okay? To help you to understand financial systems and what exactly financial systems auditing and what exactly it is that the examiner would actually test you in detail from there. Then the other important topic of note is compliance auditing. Now, with compliance auditing, without really giving you a full comprehensive information on it, when you're doing compliance audit, all you're simply doing is you're comparing what should be in place versus what is in place. I repeat, compliance auditing, all you're simply doing is you're testing what should be in place. And very important, what should be in place, it's normally what will be documented in the policy document of the organization. And when you compare the policy versus what is being actually done or being performed within a specific segment in the business, you'll be able to tell whether there's compliance or there's no compliance. So very important, compliance auditing, what we're simply doing is we are looking at what should be in place versus what is in place. And at the end of the day, what auditors are supposed to do is to give recommendations. Give recommendations. And by the way, this is also where you would find yourself then being expected to have a good background or understanding of internal controls, which is something that I'll also teach you in detail in AUI 4861. So with that, it will be able to help you when it comes to compliance auditing. So in a nutshell, that's what you would see. Then there's operational auditing. Now, operational auditing is the same thing as performance auditing. They are really the same, one and the same thing. It's just an interchange of terminology, but we are really dealing with one thing. So operational audit is the same thing as performance audit. And the whole essence behind this is testing you on the 3 E's. It's testing you guys on the 3 E's. The 3 E's being efficiency, effectiveness, and so it's efficiency, effectiveness, and the economy. Okay. But now a top secret now that a lot of other students would not really know, especially if you're just coming from 3rd year, is that there are other elements to performance auditing that you're going to be seeing at this level, and other elements to be discussed. So I'm just going to leave it like that. So that's what you would see when you're dealing with this concept in topic number 4. But the question now would be, what exactly do they test? What is it that is tested when you're looking at operational or performance auditing? Very important. They would expect you to give test of controls. Test of controls either based on the 3 E's, so they could ask you to give test of controls to test, for example, the efficiency element, or test of controls to test the effective elements, or test of controls to test the economy element. So I'll just simply say to test the 3 E's for now. So those are the lines of testing that they can actually bring. They would expect you to give us either test of controls, or sometimes they can also ask you to give recommendations. So actually, let me put it this way. Besides giving recommendations, first of all, you'll be giving recommendation for what? It can be a recommendation after identifying a risk. So I'll say risk and recommendation, okay? Risk and recommendation. So in other words, you are identifying the problem and you're giving them the solution. So it could be a risk pertaining to the efficiency element, risks concerning the effectiveness element, or economy element, and then you give the corrective measure, which is basically the recommendation to be able to deal with the problem. Sometimes they also ask you to give weaknesses. All right, so if you give a weakness, normally they would expect you to give a recommendation to deal or to address the weakness. So I'm going to be explaining as we progress in the official class. I'll be explaining in detail what a risk is, how do you draft a risk statement in the exam situation, And also, how would you draft a recommendation statement? Because there's a standardized way that they would want you to give these things, especially at this level. So it will be slightly different from the way that you did it in undergraduate level. Of course, most of these things you probably are familiar with them from an undergraduate degree perspective, okay? But at this level, there's a bit of an advanced step that you would be expected to take now in order to address this concept in any assessment they would give you, be it in the exam or even in the assignment setup. Then there's fraud auditing. Fraud auditing, it's one of those, I would say, it's a very, very, very broad subject. Broad in the sense that you really need to have an understanding of the types of fraud, and just a good understanding of what I would call red flags. Red flags is the same thing as simply saying weaknesses. So this will be indicators or signals that there is fraudulent activity that is being carried out. So they would ask you to identify such, and then normally when they ask you for that, they would also ask you to give recommendations, okay? Recommendation. It's very important. So it's one of those topics that when we touch, the most important things, we really need to understand the different types or categories of fraud. And then obviously, we look at various questions from the past exams or even in the past assignments so that you can see the line of testing that is used when you are tested on fraud auditing. Now, one of my favorite topics in this module, and by the way, they give a lot of marks for this, it's IT auditing. Now, with IT auditing, you need to really understand that the environment that you'll be auditing here, it's a computerized environment. So in a computerized environment, my brother, my sister, you're going to see two types of controls that govern operations in a computerized environment, and that is manual controls. In fact, let me put it this way: general controls, and you're going to see application controls. Okay, now I need to explain, just to give you a bit of a brief understanding or a brief view of what these things are. General controls, these are controls that actually facilitate the application of application or programmed controls. So application controls is the same thing as saying programmed controls, because these are non-tangible controls. They are more intangible by nature, in the sense that you cannot touch them, but you can actually observe them to see whether they exist or not. So a good example would be, if I'm to log in, for example, on a system where I would want to book a flight ticket to Durban, for example. Now, one of the things you would see there, you would see different fields that you need to populate. For example, your name field, your contact number field, your the address field, and several fields that you would observe there. Now, you discover that if you don't enter anything in the field and you just try to process to the next step, normally the system would actually react to that. It could tell you that there is invalid inputs and it will emphasize which field there is invalid inputs. A good example is, if in the field where I need to put the contact numbers, and I enter letters and special characters, it will tell you that there's invalid characters that have been filled in. So what is it that is giving the system to respond that way? Those are what we call application controls. All right. So for example, and if I enter in the name field, I enter numbers or digits, so to speak. Again, the system would respond in a certain way, where it can actually tell you that there's invalid inputs that have been entered in the name field. What is it that is causing the system to do that? It's again this issue of application controls that are programmed within the system. So we can't necessarily touch them, but we can actually observe their existence within an application or a software system, so to speak. But general controls, these are controls that are more physical in nature, so you can actually touch them. You can also observe them. So for example, they are there to govern or to facilitate the deployment of application controls in a computerized environment. So general controls, these are controls, for example, that you would find in a computer room. For example, it has to do with the design of the computer room. Does it have thick walls? Are the air cons there in place to ensure that the computers are well governed and they don't heat up? You know, and is the access to the computer room itself controlled or being monitored? You know, all those type of controls surrounding the computer environment itself, these are classified as general controls. Now there's more to this. This is just basics that I'm giving you so that you have an insight of what to expect in each and every one of these topics. For example, of course, with the topic number 6 that I'm briefing you on now. So this would act as a mind map so that at least you know how to study and what to expect in each and every one of these topics. Now, the last one, obviously, is where we are dealing with performing information technology-based auditing. Now, information technology-based auditing, to be precise, this is CATS. All right, this is CATS that you'll be dealing with in topic number 7. Purely CATS. So CATS is a concept where you are really dealing with the audit of software systems now. Okay, so it goes beyond just application and general controls. Now you are getting into detail where you're looking at the system. So for example, if you're performing a financial audit, now you want to test, first of all, okay, the system that they are using to generate financial statements, to generate any related financial records, how effective, how efficient is this system? So how do you go about testing the efficacy of that system? That is where CATS comes in. So CATS, it really deals with the audit of computer systems. So that's what you would be seeing in topic number 7. So it's very important just to have a good understanding or background of CATS. All right. Now, when they are testing you these things in an be it in an assignment setup or in an exam setup, it's very important to note that, guys, the type of questions they bring, they are application based. They are application based. So you'll be applying the knowledge that you would have obtained from here. So it's not an issue of just getting the theoretical understanding of things, but you are expected to actually apply each and every one of the knowledge kits that you're going to get from there. So what I've done is I've given you an overview of what to expect in each one of these topics. Now, the next thing that I want to explain quickly is with regards to assignments. Now, there are 4 assignments that you're going to be expected to complete for the purpose of this module. 2 of these assignments, first one and the second one, they are multiple choice based assignments, of which all of them you're going to find on your My UNISA platform. So it's an online platform that UNISA uses for students to be able to complete their assignments. The 3rd and the 4th assignments, they are essay-based assignments, meaning to say these are written assignments. And again, they also act as what I would call a kit to give you insight of the exam type of questions that the examiner would ask. So if there's anything that you would learn when you do assignment 3 and 4 is exam structure. Number 2, the line of testing that the lecturer uses. And number 3, very important, the line of response or the type of response that you're supposed to give in order for you to score the marks. And this is now where I come in so that I can show you how they expect you to respond to this question. So first-hand experience is better than when you're doing things on your own and you're just, okay, expecting to see, okay, if I do it this way, will I really make it? Or perhaps the results would come out otherwise. So when you've got somebody that has got a first-hand experience like myself, it will be easier then for you to master how they expect you to respond to questions, be it in the assignment setup or in the exam. So the assignments, they're very key in the sense that they give you these 3 things. The exam structure, so these are typical exam type of questions that they will bring, essay-based questions. And very important, it also helps you to gain insight on the line of testing that the examiner would use even for exam purposes. And then, of course, when I come in, I give you the line of response. Now, for those students that would have attended this session, we are going to give you guys a 30% discount for assignment number 1. You'll be able to see what is 30% of the actual fee structure for assignments, which I'll show you shortly. But I want to briefly explain our tutorial service offering package. What does it really include? So it includes online and physical conduct classes. Physical conduct classes is where you meet me physically. So in terms of our address line, we're located at 215 Bosman Street. I repeat, we are located at 215 Bosman Street in Pretoria Central, CBD. That's where we are located. That's where our offices are. So if you want to engage with the tutor physically, mainly it will be obviously over the weekends and not necessarily during the course of the week, because majority of the students that attend during the week, they are working. So we normally get to attend to them using Zoom online. And then we also give you assignment help. With assignment help, it's a collaborative effort between the tutor and the students. So the students are expected to participate in this engagement, but obviously under the supervision of the tutor. So I'll give you insight of how to respond to questions, especially when it comes to assignments. And then with the exam preparation kit, you'd see that it will include exam packs, which is past questions and suggested solutions, and preparatory notes as well. So that's what you would see under our exam preparation kit. There's one-on-one consultation with the tutor that you can get, but this is as per appointment with the tutor. We also give research guidelines, that is for research-based modules, apart from this one. And then we also give you career guidelines. So over and above your honors degree qualification, you might want to pursue your professional qualification with the IIA. So we also give you guidelines of how to go about doing that. And then in terms of our fee structure, let me see, I hope I didn't skip that one. Let's see, I think it should be the next. I think I skipped it. All right, so just to explain the fee structure, our fees for each module is 2,000 rands, which is payable in installments. I'm going to send that information rather on our WhatsApp groups. We've got our website link, which would go live on the 1st of March 2022. So this is where students can even actually be able to download some notes